in a multipolar world, can India look beyond Washington? Is this a moment for India to look at a world that doesn't simply look at America as the sole global policeman as it once saw itself, and thereby forge its own alliances well beyond the United States? Jayan Krishna, you take that first.
So, Rajdeep, the fact is, India is surely doesn't believe in laying all eggs in the American basket. And if you look at our FTAs have already been signed with the UK, with Australia, with the United Arab Emirates. Talks have started, even with Canada, and talks are at some stage of progress with the European Union. So we are doing that, but the fact is the sheer size of the US, right? See, US is India's second largest trading partner, next only to China, and it is the only major country with whom we have a trading relationship where India has a trade surplus in its favor, which means we export more to the US than what we import from the US, right? And if you look at the foreign direct investment, the single largest chunk of foreign direct investment that comes to India, it has been coming to India in the last several years, has been from the US. The US has been the number one FDI country for us. So I think, you can't ignore them. The fact is that, you have to start looking at alternatives. And India always does that. China is the larger trading partner. US is only number two. But you can't ignore it altogether. The best thing is to carry on diplomacy, to carry on negotiations, fast track that, and
carry out fresh alliances as well, presumably. Find new alliances, new FTAs to sign. KC Singh, do you agree with that? And I link it also to the earlier question that I asked on Russia, that the United States, if it's going to try and put pressure on India in this manner, India is free to look at its own alliances and build partnerships that just are not America-centric.
Look, Rajdeep, it's changed so much in the last 2-3 weeks. Firstly, President Trump has changed his stance towards Ukraine. Earlier, he was taking a position which was tilting towards Putin. That slowly his frustration grew. It's come to a point where he's now even started resupplying arms to Ukraine. So some of his aggressive approach on Russia and vis-a-vis India on the Russian issue has to do with Ukraine. And that's why his big statement which came out, in which he said 25% tariffs, it ended with India, Russia, and the relationship. And in capital, is saying this is not good, and so on and so forth. So that is driving him. I think he wants peace in Ukraine. Remember, he had said, I will take care of the Ukraine war within 1 day of becoming a president. Now it's nearly 7 months. So he's completely frustrated with that. He wants success there. And I think he feels that India and China are indirectly helping Russia conduct their war in Ukraine because they're buying the oil and the foreign exchange goes there. The Chinese have immediately reacted and said, no, we are not going to stop buying from Russia. India has kept quiet. We have not reacted to that statement. But the fact remains that there is a change in Trump's stance as far as Russia is concerned, and hence the aggression. Now, moving to multipolarity, I think that had begun happening many years ago. And I think what's happened is EU doing a deal, because we could have gone towards multipolarity and handling America a different way if all the major countries and groups were willing to deal with each other. BRICS alone can't do it. The Europeans have gone and cut a deal. So that major pole is now no longer available, not at least for the next 2-3 years. So as half of ASEAN is gone, the others are also in the queue. So the space is shrinking in which you can function without America. Therefore, we'll have to cut a deal and do what most of the countries have done, what I was telling you, promise things. They're promising things, much of which is not going to be implemented. They want to just create a bridge, get rid of Trump for the time being. They know by the time the midterms come in America, he may be weakened. He'll get distracted. So you're buying time, a year and a half, maximum 3 years, promise things to him, etc., which do not harm you, do not affect your domestic politics, insulate your domestic politics, but there'll have to be compromises.
Okay.
You can't give the impression to him that you're dragging your feet.
But should we, yes, in a multipolar world, look beyond Washington, strengthen, for example, BRICS? Is that a possibility given the fact that you're dealing with this mercurial American president?
I would not advise that at all because I don't think BRICS can be a substitute for United States. The United States by far is the most preeminent power, and with India, we've had over the last 3 decades, or at least the last 2.5 decades, successive U.S. presidents have wooed India, and our relationship has looked very strong and sound. And it's only now that we are confronted with a transactional president who wants it's either my way or the highway. But I agree with Ambassador Casey Singh. There are many things that we can promise, and I'm sure our negotiators may have. I don't know whether they did promise the moon because we actually are in a position to promise the moon as far as buying American goods are concerned. Whether it's oil and gas, whether it's defense equipment, so there's a lot of areas where we Boeing aircraft.
So the general
Boeing cannot produce
consensus,
so many aircraft.
so the broader
we
consensus is that you need to engage with America. That for all the multipolarity in the world, America still remains the country that you need to engage with.
absolutely, I think we must.